Welcome, friends, to
Hey
the
guys,
Gone
before
to
we
the
start,
Dog
a quick
podcast.
shout out to
Steve
Alpha
Fielder
Dog
with you
Nutrition
here
for
one more
sponsoring
time
this
to talk
podcast.
about
Alpha Dog
coon
products are now
hunting,
available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now
I
let's
want to
get you to
say
your
thank you,
podcast.
first of all, to W Hunting Supply for being the sponsor for this podcast. Also to Alpha Dog Nutrition, great supplements for your dog. Everything really that your dog needs nutritional wise. And also want to thank my buddy Big Mark Zepp of Zepp Predator Calls. Zepp makes a great coon squaller. And so anyway, want to thank all of those sponsors that make this podcast possible. Now today we're journeying down to McDade, Texas. That's down, I think, in the general area of San Antonio, down that way. I'll ask my guest, Ray Dismukes. Ray, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Steve.
Well, that's good. You're coming off a big win of the Texas State Championship, and we would definitely want to talk about that and those English dogs that you love so well. And all, but it's just a real pleasure to have you on the podcast today, Ray. And I've been a longtime friend of yours. I was thinking back, probably met you when I went to UKC back as far as 83. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
I think it was about like that. The first time we ever really physically met was when they had the first American Heritage Hunt over here at Hearn, Texas.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And I don't remember what year that was.
You know, it was right at the end of the Desert Storm War. I remember that. And because we had the big rodeo parade and I remember the coon hunters on their mules and the chuck wagon and the grand entry parade and all that we had there at Hearn. But, yeah, that was a great time. I really enjoyed that hunt. So that, well, I'm sure historians that are listening would know what dates the Gulf War was, because I know we had that one fellow that was just freshly back from the Gulf War, and we had him recognized.
Yes, I remember that, but like you, I can't remember, what year it was.
Yeah,
it's been a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, Ray, as we have talked earlier, you and I are the same age.
Yes, sir. You're a whole lot older than me, though, because you're 30 days older than I am.
30 days. Boy, that means a lot when you get up our age. Well, to me, there's a pretty remarkable story here at age 78 that you're still coon hunting, and not only coon hunting, but getting out there and running with those young bucks and winning. There's quite a story about that. But before, just as a means of introduction to the listeners, have you always lived in McDade, Texas? Was that your home, or where were you born?
Yes, sir. I live on the place I was born.
Oh, isn't that awesome? I always love it when I talk to somebody that can say that. I said, what a heritage that is. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about McDade, Texas. What is it? Ranching country? What goes on there?
Yeah, it's predominantly ranching country. No real big ranches, but it's predominantly ranching country. And our coon hunting is a little bit anything you want. We got sandhills with a lot of brush and big post oak trees, and we got bottoms with the pin oaks and all this, and then we got sloughs and stuff. I pretty well got any kind of hunting you want to put
I see. Well, you could pretty well get one ready for about anything there where you live, then, yeah, couldn't you? Well, listen, where did this coon hunting thing start for you, Ray?
My dad was a coon hunter, and I started hunting with him when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I got my first dog when I was 13 years old. He ended up making a really nice dog. He's 8 generations behind the dog that I won the state hunt with this weekend.
That is amazing. 8 generations. Well, I know, when I first met you and all, I kind of associated you a little bit with black and tans, but I think that was because of the people that you were hunting with, probably more.
Oh, yeah, I hunted for Kenwood and hunted. We partners on dogs for a long time.
Yeah, now that's Kenwood Maker.
Yes, Kenwood Maker.
Yeah, and he's from Luling, Texas, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Now, okay, so is McDade in kind of like a metroplex for San Antonio, or how far away are you?
No, I'm 120 miles from San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
If you drew a straight line between Austin and Bryan, I'd live right in the middle of it. And everybody always tells me I live so far out in the country, I got to go toward town to go hunt.
I see. Well, that's some big country. I know when I was there with PKC at Iola, now where they have the what is that called, that big hunt there at Iola?
Lone Star 5,000.
5,000, yeah.
Lone Star 5,000.
Now, that's generally in the area you live, isn't it, or not?
Yes, it's still have it there every year, yes.
Yeah, but okay, so how far is that then from you?
It's 94 miles from my house to the fire station where they hold on.
I got you. Yeah, I can remember driving back, I think to Madisonville, to a motel, right. From that hunt at night, late at night, of course, after the cats were back in, and maybe they split, or maybe they went back out. But when I could finally get away and go home, that's a long, dark, lonesome drive from Iola back to Madisonville. Yeah, that's some big country. Texas is a big place, if you haven't heard. Right.
If you live right in the middle of it like I do, it's a long way getting out of it in any direction.
That's for sure. Well, I remember driving one time. We drove our daughter back from California in a motorhome, and from one tip of Texas to the other, it was 900 and some miles, and I was still in Texas. So, yeah, running across Interstate 10 down there. But, well, there's so much history, so much heritage, so many things to think about in Texas. You grew up. Did you grow up in the country? You said you were in the country on a farm or a ranch, or
farm. My dad was mainly a truck farmer. We did raise peanuts one time. He quit raising cotton the year I turned 7 years old, and I cried because I wasn't going to get to pick cotton. That's how I was when I was little. So he planted 4 rows of cotton out in our garden. And I picked a half a bushel basket full, and our neighbor gave me 50 cents for it when I was 7 years old, and I thought I was rich.
Oh, boy, 50 cents back. I remember when I was 7, that would have been quite a haul.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great heritage. So your dad was a coon hunter too, did he?
Yes, he was.
Did he have a certain breed he liked, or was it great dogs back then?
My dad was strictly a pleasure hunter, and I started out strictly a pleasure hunter, where you climb the trees and jump the coons out and run them. If they run, you leave them. If they don't run, you kill them. And we had some running coons back when I was a kid.
Especially if you'd caught them before, huh? They learned the trick, didn't they?
All the dumb ones got killed. The smart ones we left and kept running them.
Well, you were improving the gene pool then. You were getting the dumb ones out, or the slow ones, aren't you? Well, that's amazing. Well, when did you first go to a night hunt? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the first night I went to. It was in I think about 1963, and it was a club hunt. No registered dogs in our country at that time. It was a 4-hour hunt under ACHA rules.
4 hours. 4 hours.
Yeah, I'd never been to a hunt before. My dog got treated off by himself away from the other dogs, and they told me to go to him, and they went to their dog. Well, I went to him, and he had a coon. I looked. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be shining the tree or nothing. I mean, I was green as a gourd. I didn't know anything. And I said, man, I'll go back and tell them I saw a coon out. They ain't not going to believe me. So I just climbed the tree and jumped the coon out and let old Rusty kill him. And by then they were coming back toward me, and I met them about halfway back, carrying that coon.
Well, I had the proof.
That's when they told me that you're not supposed to kill them.
Oh, that's a great story. That's a great story. Kind of reminded me of a hunt back in West Virginia one night. A fellow was going to whip all of us in the cast because his dog treated a coon. Kind of got out of pocket and all, but he'd never struck him, never treated him or anything, you know. And he said, I'm the winner. You boys didn't treat any coon. I treated one. And we said, well, yeah, but you're not on the scorecard. We never did hear your dog. And, oh, he was hot. He was upset somewhat. Well,
I was hunting with older guys that was really experienced and everything, and they got a kick out of it. But I ended up winning the hunt. But boy, I tell you, those 4-hour hunts were tough back then, and that's back when I was a kid. Man, I'd hate to have one of them now.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's for sure. Well, it seemed like for us, especially as you know, things, I don't remember 4-hour hunts, but I do remember the 3, of course. And I was at UKC when we went to gave the clubs the option of either having 3 or 2-hour. And it wasn't very long till the 2-hour took over. You know, a 3-hour hunt was pretty rare then. But, and then now, the midweek hunts, hour hunts, I think PKC probably was the first to have those. And now some of the hunts are 90 minutes. So, but yeah, things have kind of evolved a bit. You have been a member of the Texas State Coon Hunters Association. I guess do they have individual memberships or?
No, they used to. I was on the board from 1972 till 1991.
Almost 19 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I was president. They elected me president of the PKC state president at that time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the members on the board were really against PKC, and so I got off. And by the way, I was fortunate enough to be elected to the PKC Hall of Fame in 2013.
That is awesome, Ray. That is absolutely awesome. Well, I knew that you hunted PKC and were kind of a pioneer in that aspect in the state of Texas. Were you hunting PKC before Guy Manning?
No, I think Guy may have started a little bit before me. I probably, my number's lower than his because I hunted at some PCA hunts way back when it was PCA. My number's 765. I'm one of the few now that's still got a 3-digit number.
Well, I'd say, yeah, mine's 5 digits, I think. But, PCA, Professional Coon Hunters Association, was what Jarvis Humphers began with. That's what he called it to start. And then I'm going to think that was around 73, I believe, was the year that PCA started. Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember the exact year, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, I
sure.
can't remember, but I hunted in a few. You know, they called them blue ribbon hunts back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I hunted in a few of those blue ribbon hunts way back then.
Weren't those the 16 dog hunts? Or did they just take as many as they could get?
I think they took as many as they could get, and I think they took entries on the ground. They didn't didn't start pre-entry till later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
and they had 2 or 3 of those here in Texas.
Okay. Well, my earliest recollections of you is probably, like at that American Heritage Hunt, and of course at the Texas State Hunt that every September, that was on my calendar. We went to Autumn Oaks, and then the next weekend we went to the Texas State Hunt. And then when we started the zone hunts, we'd have them, and I know the first year there we had zones, we had one in Paris, Texas, up in the northeast corner up there. I believe that was 1988, because I believe the plot dog that ultimately won it that year came through that zone. Cannon and Spud Reynolds, Jim Cannon and Spud Reynolds, and then went on to Mount Gilead, Ohio. But I think I've got my dates right there. But then, I always enjoyed going to Texas, and I've mentioned that a few times on the podcast that there's an attitude there, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it's a different vibe. Texas coon hunting. Of course, it's people travel great distances, and for years the Texas State Hunt was the biggest hunt that UKC had. And,
outside of Autumn Oaks and Black and Tan days, we were number 3.
Yeah,
In 1983, on Friday night, I think we hunted 318 dogs.
And that was 83?
In 83, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was my first year at UKC full time, so I would have been there in September, yes. Fairfield at the fairgrounds, right?
Yes. Sid Underwood and I was talked about that this weekend. It's a great hunt.
Yes, indeed. And it was like we talk on this podcast a lot about Aurora, Kentucky, the PKC World Hunt, and we also mentioned recently that they plan to do their national, I think, in October back at Aurora. But what an atmosphere it was. Well, the Texas State Hunt was unique to itself. It was just a tremendous hunt. A lot of people. Really, Ray, and I think you'll agree, the number of dogs in the night hunt really didn't touch the number of coon hunters that were actually there.
Because, no. No. But there was, and it's still like that. I mean, Texas still just loaded with pleasure hunters, and I don't have anything against pleasure hunters because I grew up pleasure hunting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
but I've been hunting in competition so long, it kind of gets in your blood.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Those days are winding down now. That dog like to kill me this week. He walked me 5.5 miles on Friday night and 6.5 on Saturday night, and that's a long way for a 78-year-old man to walk.
That is a lot of walking, Ray, and I'm shaking my head to think about, could I even do it? I guess you do things if you have to, but yeah, my competition hunting days are done. I might walk along on an hour midweek hunt or something, and would even handle a dog if I didn't live down here in this alligator zoo.
Yeah, I don't envy that. But we got the rattlesnakes here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do. I saw more rattlesnakes when I was in Texas than anywhere that I've traveled all over the country. And of course, I was there in 69 and 70 in San Angelo. And of course, we saw quite a few and got to hunt while I was out there. And the first time I met our departed friend, Harry Lister, and, got to hunt on a hunt with him and all. But so many great memories at Texas. All right. Well, the Texas State Hunt, it's been a gathering for coon hunters. It used to be held in September, as I mentioned, so they've moved it to springtime now, huh?
Yeah, I don't remember how long ago. It's been 5 or 6 years ago, and it's nothing what it used to be. You don't have the hunting area around Fairfield that you used to have.
I see.
From 318 dogs in 1983 on Friday night, we hunted 38 Friday night this year.
Well, a 38 dog hunt is a good hunt in this day and time. It really is.
Compare with what we had back then, but there wasn't near as many hunts back then, and this one registry really at that time to hunt in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And
there's so many hunts now. I mean, even as far down as I am, if I wanted to, nearly I could go do a hunt every weekend within less than 100 miles. And I know for a lot of people, they think that's a long way, but if you're in Texas, 100 miles is not very far.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've always marveled at the Western hunter, how far they will drive to a hunt, and for sure. All right, well, let's I don't know what I want. It's a chicken and the egg kind of thing. I definitely want to talk about the state hunt and this win and all, but I want to talk about these dogs, this line of dogs that you're hunting now. What you said that dog went back. The dog you're hunting now goes back 8 generations to the dog that you were hunting in the story you told us about, right?
That's correct.
Okay, what was the origin there? What was?
I hunted that stock of dogs for years, and there's no telling how many dogs I night championed and grand night championed out of that stock, and then I got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But then the stud dog I've got here now is out of semen out of the Medicine Man Pill dog that Mike Kelly had and hunted and did a lot of winning with back in the 90s.
Yeah, the late Mike Kelly.
He went back to my dog.
Oh, okay.
He went back to that dog. I don't know do you remember Ronnie James?
Not sure that I do.
He had the Mo Valley English dogs.
Okay.
Mo Valley Boone, Mo Valley Duke.
Okay, I remember that name. Yes.
Mo Valley Duke was a grandson of my Rusty dog that I had, and my Rusty dog was a great dog, but I single registered 2 litters of puppies out of him, and that's really where my registered line started.
Now, was he a red tick dog?
No, yeah, he was a red tick dog.
Yeah. Have most of your dogs down through the years been red ticks?
Most of them have, yes.
Right.
And I've transgressed a little down through the years a few times. I had a Walker dog called Loomis that I did a lot of winning with, and then of course I did a lot of winning with the black and tan dogs of Kenwoods. Not that I did the winning; the dog did the winning. All I did was do the calling. But but I'm back all red ticks. I don't have anything but a red tick in my kennel right now.
I see.
But I've had some really nice blue English dogs too.
Yeah, well, I was thinking so. Now, you mentioned earlier when I asked you about coming on with us today, when you and I hunted and got in kind of a rough place and all. What was that hunt? Your memory's better than mine. Ray, there were so many hunts with so many people over so many years that some of them, I'm sure I do remember bits and pieces of that hunt. But where were we then?
When we hunted together that night?
Yes.
We were hunting out of Calvert, Texas, with a guy named Bernie Huckabee.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a funny story. You remember William Wolf, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, William was with us that night. Well, William had drawn Bernie in a hunt shortly before that and got ahead in the hunt, and then he moved and cast and put him in some bad stuff. Well, he put us in the roughest Bernie did, and we went down there and went hunting with Bernie because William was with us, and the worst stuff I ever been in my life that night.
Yeah.
And he did it to get even with William, but
he got us in the mess too, didn't he? What were we hunting? Were we hunting out of the state hunt, or were we hunting PK?
This was when you came down and stayed several days to set up. I was director of the first American Heritage, and you came down there, and you and I were working, getting everything set up. And you were there for several days, and you went hunting with us one night.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that was the year that the first year that Todd had just went to work for UKC whenever you came down there.
Yeah, and we had him.
I remember you giving him some real good scoldings while we were there.
Are you trying to say I was hard to get along with sometimes, right?
No. I imagine they were rightfully deserved, but I'll never forget it because it tickled me.
Yeah, well, Todd, was a good kid, and he, a fella, they're a local redbone guy there around Kalamazoo, Michigan. Todd had been hunting with him, and so this guy Larry Wardinger came by the office, and he said, "This boy needs to go coon. He wants to be a coon hunter, and you hunt a whole lot harder than I do, so I'd like to introduce you to him," and all. And that's how Todd and I got together. And then later on, Fred had heard about Todd and knew he was a young man. Fred wouldn't hire just anybody, any coon hunter, to come in to UKC. I don't know why he hired me, but anyway. So anyway, that's how Todd and I. So I was kind of his mentor there in the early days. So I imagine
I realize that. Yeah.
I imagine I was kind of like my dad was with me when I was a kid. He was always teaching me something, you know. But well, that American Heritage Hunt was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that, and I always try to have a good time. And I know that
they don't even hold that no more.
Yeah,
it's I don't know. Coon hunting's just not what it used to be down here.
Well, that's for sure. Nowhere really, to the degree that we remember it, Ray. Right. But I can remember going one night. Walter Stevens had set up a deal on a ranch out there somewhere out from Hearn, and were you out there the night? That the UKC staff and stuff were out there, and we had a cookout and had went hunting on the mules. Did you do that?
No, I wasn't along on that hunt, but I know where y'all were. I think Walter used to work on that ranch.
That's right. That he did, and it was funny.
Yeah, they had a club out there, a UKC club out there at that time.
Yeah,
kind of between Hearn and Franklin.
We were out there, and we always kidded John Miller, who was the editor of Coonhound Bloodlines at that time. It was Fred Miller's son. John really wasn't a coon hunter, but he was with us, and we were out there, and we made a tree, and he was looking up, looking, and he didn't see. He said, "I don't see the coon." Or somebody said, "Well, John, you got to turn your light on. You'll see him a lot better." I'll tell that on him. He can't get back at me. He probably wouldn't listen to this podcast if he had the chance. But that was one of the funny things that we did. And always the eating. I remember we had some Texas brisket, man, and it was good. It was a good time. All right, well, let's go back then. All right, so Rusty was the first of this line of English dogs?
Yes, sir. He was.
Okay. And so what other good ones down through that line do you remember?
Oh, I had two dogs out of him that I Grand Night championed. One was Sandhill Joker, and the other one was Sandhill Rattler. And then I can't remember. I hunted that stock through about 3 generations. But Joker and Rattler's mama was real picky about hunting with strange people and strange dogs. Mm-hmm. And it looked like every generation it got to work. I got some really, really good dogs out of Joker and Rattler, but a high percent of them were not competition dogs because they just flat wouldn't hunt. Probably the best dog I ever owned was a dog called Trey that was out of Rusty, and he would. I might not champion him in a hurry, and then I not championed a brother out of him, and then I went back and said, "Well, I'm on Grand Night champion." When I started back to hunting him, he'd get in there and get treed somewhere, maybe by himself, and if a dog covered him, he'd quit and come in.
Oh, yeah.
And I got away from that line of dogs.
Yeah, I had one, it was on the tree end of things. I often said, I called her Annie, if I turned every dog at Otomokes down the creek, she'd go up the creek, But she was a dead loner, always was. And she finally got to the point, if another dog came in and covered her, she'd leave. But boy, she was a coon treer. She was kind of a heartbreaker in that regard,
Yeah, that's how it was with me with that Trey dog, because he's probably one of the very best actual coon dogs I ever owned.
Yeah, was he a red?
I saw him one night.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've seen dogs treat 2 coons at one time, but I had him treat 3 coons at one time, and it's back when fur was real high. He got treed. I walked to the tree. He moved over about 30 yards to another tree. I shot that coon out. He stayed there on that other tree. I went down there. I shot that coon out. And before I shot it out, he was down about 30 yards down further under another one. He had 3 coons winded there. He treated them out of there. I'm sure he was a real layup dog, but he knew where.
He knew where they all were.
Yep, where they all were.
That's what we used to call a meat dog, Ray.
Yeah, he was a meat dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you'd have been at a competition hunt, he'd have had a lot of minus points right there.
Well, Ray, I know that you've always had the reputation of being a hard hunter and a knowledgeable dog man, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the podcast to let people get, pick up some of your wisdom in the sport, your experience, and all of that. Now, down through the years, did you mainly hunt by yourself, just pleasure hunting, or do you usually go with somebody else?
I probably hunted 75 or 80% of the time by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I figured that.
In them days, because I hunted every night, just about it. I usually hunted 5 or 6 nights a week every week, and other people that had jobs couldn't, didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then on weekend, I'd usually hunt with people, but most of the time I hunted by myself.
Right. Well, I did that a lot too in Michigan, and that's the way to make a dog, I believe, and I think a lot of the listeners would agree with that, and there's a big there's a conflict there because, you want to go hunting with other people. You like the fellowship and all that. But if you're working the dog and all, you really need to hunt him by himself, don't you think?
Yes, I do. And another kind of interesting thing about coon hunting is the guy that's my main coon hunting buddy now, we graduated from high school together and started hunting together when we were in the 7th grade. Now, he went a lot of years he didn't hunt because he worked for the Postal Service and he walked 6.5 miles every day.
Wow.
But after he retired from the Postal Service, we went back to hunting together, and we've been hunting together now about 15 years.
That's awesome. What's his name?
Bruner Lights, Leutz, but you pronounce it just like a light bulb, Lights.
I see. Now, in the area where you live, is there a lot of German influence?
Yes.
Yes. Your name is a little bit unusual.
Well, yeah, but it's French, and it's not the way it was. It was Desmeaux is how it was originally.
Oh, I see. So you kind of Americanized.
French.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Well, so you hunted the dog pretty much by itself. Let's go back to the basics a little bit. About what age do you start fooling with a pup?
It depends. Where I live out in the country, Steve, I can leave a pup loose.
Yeah.
I mean, I live with a paved county road in front of me, and I'm going to knock on wood. I'm hitting myself on the head right now. I've been lucky to have had one run over. But I let my pups run loose. I've got squirrel dogs, too. And this squirrel dog, my male squirrel dog goes off in trees at night, nearly every night. Mm-hmm. And I'll leave the pups loose till I hear them going running, running, treeing off with him, and then I'll put them up and start taking them hunting.
Yeah.
Some of them I'll start with a cage, turning the coon loose a time or two, never over 3 times. But the dog that I wanted to state hunt with, I don't think I turned but 2 coons loose on him, but he was running and treeing like crazy before he ever went to the woods the first time, and he was about 7 months old. He did tree a possum out here behind the house, and I've got a video of that when he was 4.5 months old. Mm-hmm. And I knew then he was going to have a mouth he was going to be able to hear forever. With my hearing as bad as it is, I'm glad he does.
Yeah, I got a pup here that he's just going to be here in 2 days. He'll be 9 months old, and I carried him out to the White River this year. He's only 4.5 months old, and just really to give him a little bit of experience around the other dogs and all that, and he's going to have a tremendous mouth, and that's always a plus,
Yeah, especially when you get up our age.
That's right. Well, I've been blessed in that regard, Ray. Now, when I'm sitting around the house watching TV or something, sometimes things don't come out just right. But as far as listening to a hound, I can't tell that I've lost. I'm sure I've lost a little, but my hearing's still pretty good.
Probably as far as anybody, but I have problem talking to people by the words running together and not being able to understand words.
Yeah, I'm beginning to have that problem too. Yeah, for sure.
And I wear cheap hearing aids. I know I need to get my ears and get some good hearing aids, but fellas say I'm too tight.
Well, you can't take it with you, Ray. They say you never do see a hearse pulling a U.
That's what they tell me all the time.
They say you don't see a hearse pulling a U-Haul trailer,
No.
Well, that's great. So you
want to know a little bit about the dog I hunt now?
Let's do. Okay, now let's rewind the tape just a little bit. You just won the 2025. Was that was a UKC Texas State Hunt, right?
UKC Texas State.
Right, and that's the same one, same hunt that we talked about so much back in the 80s and all. What a big...
That's correct.
Exactly. And it's a 2-night hunt, so it's UKC hunts both nights. But then tell us a little bit how that hunt's set up and how you get to be the Texas State champion.
Well, I'm not really in favor of the way they do it. They do it, the Texas State champion can be the high-scoring dog from either night.
Okay.
They don't combine scores.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, I would have won it either way they did it because he won 375 Friday night and he had 700 Saturday night.
Sure, that's 1,025 right there.
1,075. 1,075.
75,
yeah. The dog to him was around 800 or something like that.
I got you.
It had 2 cast wins, and we did have 4 double cast winners.
Well, that's good.
But
that's real good.
Didn't mean anything as far as state championship.
I see.
And that 700 points was a high score overall.
Okay. Well, each of these associations have their own way of doing things. Do they still put the entry slips in the pill bottles when they draw them?
No, they don't anymore. There's not enough dogs for them to do that. But they was done for years and years and years, and it took forever to draw them out.
I know it. They put each individual entry slip in a little plastic pill bottle. Right. And that's the first and only time I've ever seen that done, but that was the standard. I guess they kept the entry slips separated that way, and all. That was quite unique. All right. Okay. So where was the state hunt held this year? Oh, you said Fairfield, right?
Back to Fairfield again. It left Fairfield. It went to Hearn for a while, and it went to several other places, but it's back to Fairfield.
Yeah. For a point of reference for you listeners, Hearn, they call it the crossroads of Texas. It's supposedly right in the dead center of Texas. And how far is it from Hearn to Crockett, Ray?
Oh, man, I don't know. Probably 50 miles, maybe 60 miles. And I may be wrong.
Yeah. Well, we had the UKC World Hunt in Crockett.
Yeah.
And an English dog won it, Rory Cowles, with that Jesse dog. Yeah. Yeah, and we had a big time there and had a big country music show that night and all, and that was a great time, great hunt. All right.
Some of the guys wasn't real happy about the armadillos down here, though.
I guess not. We're picking on Todd. Didn't somebody give him an armadillo or send an armadillo brought back to the grounds for him or something? Do you remember that story?
Yep. I do. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, Todd Kellum's vice president of the United Kennel Club, and he's still there. He worked with me for several years there in the coonhound operations department and all field operations department. But all right, so okay, talking about this dog. Let's break him down, as they say. Did you raise the litter that he's out of?
No, he was a stud feed pup.
Okay.
He's a stud feed pup out of a loudmouth junior bloodlines. And have you heard of the dog called Flip Flop?
Yes.
English dog?
Yes.
Well, he's a grandson of Flip Flop. He's out of a female out of Flip Flop, and Flip Flop won the state hunt several years ago.
Well, I'm looking here at the picture of him. He's a red tick dog. He's got kind of that little bit of a kind of a brownish cast.
Yes,
instead of
a unique color.
Yeah, instead of the bright red that you see sometimes in the English dogs. He's got excellent feet, straight-legged, tight-gutted, deep-chested dog, got a nice ear on him, a good-looking head. How old is he right now?
He'll be 2 years old on July the 4th.
Wow, he's a young hound then, for sure.
I was the oldest hunter by far hunting in the hunt, and I don't know whether he was the youngest dog hunting in the hunt, but he was the youngest dog that placed either night.
Okay, now
no dog that placed either night was younger than him.
I got you. Well, now he was one of those that you let run loose as a pup there at the.
Yeah, I did. And when I started him, he was extremely trashy. I mean, I waited too long to put him up. I mean, he'd run anything that left a scent track.
Yeah.
And I sent him to a gentleman that lives up close to Athens.
Okay.
Bo Long. And Bo hunted him for me for 2 months, and he did a super job getting him broke. And he told me he was ready to start hunting. And so when I got him back, he progressed real quick.
All right. Yeah, I've got to get into that kind of a thing here pretty soon with this dog that I've got at 9 months old. I'm going to get a little free advice from you. He started, he was a natural out White River. He did tree a coon at 4, not quite 5 months old. And I've talked about it on here before. But he's a house dog down here. I mean, living in Florida where I do, you got to kind of make them go both ways because where I live, I can't build a kennel. So the dogs stay inside. But now he's got all kinds of determination and drive and all, and he's real gamey. What would you do with that 9-month-old pup?
If I was younger, I would have done like I used to do, and I would just put him in the woods nearly every night and do a little correction. A lot of people don't agree with my way of correcting, but I'm not real hard on the dog.
Right.
I'd kind of rather see them break themselves and me, do it
right.
as easy as I can on them getting them broke.
Yeah.
But I would hunt him. But now I can't do that. That's the reason I sent that dog off. I don't have the patience, and my temperament, as you get older, your temper gets shorter, and I didn't want to be messing with him.
Right.
That's the reason I sent him to be hunted.
Correct. Well, that's what I'm going to do with this dog. He's going to go up to North Carolina here right away. And, yeah, I just can't stand to see a young, and I know that you hear about all these 8-month-old wonders and 5-month-old wonders and all. That doesn't worry me too much. But at the same time, anytime I've got a good-blooded pup, a young dog, let's say, it kills me to know that I might be wasting him and not be giving him the opportunities that he needs at a certain stage in his life. Do you hold to that?
Oh, yeah, I definitely believe that. And, you can overdo things, too. You got to just kind of, dogs are like people, in my opinion. They all got their own personality, and you just got to sit down and figure out with that dog what he needs. Some dogs can't take that hunting, real regular when they're 9, 10, 11 months old, hunting 3 or 4 times a week. And then some dogs you could hunt 7 nights a week at 8 months old, and it wouldn't.
Yeah, it wouldn't phase. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of stem winders when they were 10 months old, that by the time they were 1.5 years old were burnt up.
Yeah. Well, I think back in the days of the PKC pup tickets and all that, guys would just burn a pup out, taking him 4 or 5 nights a week to night hunt, strange dogs, every cast, all that stuff, and you have a real good young pup.
I've never agreed with that. I try to be real careful.
Right. I got you. Well, I agree with that for sure. All right. So on this Texas State Hunt, there's no qualification. You just have to show up and enter your dog, I assume, if it's like it used to be. And it's at the fairgrounds there, Fairfield. What did you said you scored 300 and change on Friday?
I scored 375 Friday night, and I had 500 plus, and I took a very stupid minus that as long as I've been hunting, I should know better, and I knew better the instant I made the call. He located in there, and I didn't let him break. I treat him, and next time he barked, when he shut up, he was probably 600 yards through the country, because he can get from point A to point B faster than any dog I ever cut a leash on.
Oh boy, I like that. Like the sound of that. Now, does he hunt with the other dogs? Hunt independent? In either way, doesn't matter
what.
He hunts
independent, but he does. Let me tell you kind of how he operates. When you cut him, he's going to usually get struck the instant. He never puts his nose on the ground. He's one of them dogs that hunts with his nose in the air.
Yeah.
When he wins scent, he's going to open.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make a quick swing and try to pick it up, either the tracker, or if he wins it in the tree, try to look. And he does tree a lot of layup coons, but if he can't find it, he has no patience. He's gone. But the 6 minutes is not going to get him before he'll be at 700 or 800 yards on in there further and struck. And he'll keep doing that till he gets one he can either ambush or drive to put up. He's looking for something he can get treed real quick.
He's action packed.
Yes,
moves around.
That's the kind of dog my daddy would have killed him. My dad was a pleasure hunter. He would have hated him.
Yeah, they wanted to.
I would when I was younger, but now the way the dogs are now, if you don't have a dog like that, you can't compete.
That's exactly right. They wanted the dog. They called it an honest dog in my circles back in the hills.
And I tell you, he's too tough dog for me. He's a young man's dog, and I'm 78 years old. Boy, I mean, tell you, he can wear me out. All my pleasure hunting is off, a buggy of some kind, and I don't walk pleasure hunting except get out of pocket or something. But
right,
man, he can walk in a hunt.
I'll ask you one little side question there. There where you live, is there still plenty of hunting territory?
Yes, I've got plenty, and I've got some big places, but not near what I had, 20 years ago. Uh-huh. They just keep, breaking them up and selling smaller places and everything. In another 10 to 15 years, there's not going to be any places to hunt around me, or not enough. I've got a 9-month-old mountain cur pup here, and that's what my squirrel dogs are, mountain cur, and I'm thinking about starting him on coon, because it may end up before my end of my coon hunting days that I have to hunt something like that.
Oh yeah, it's a definite possibility. Are deer hunters a problem for you? Deer leases and that sort of thing?
Not so much during bow season. I lose a couple of places during bow season, but when rifle season starts, I'm down to just a couple of places to hunt. They're not very big and they're not very good, but that's all I got from November the 1st to the first weekend in January.
I got you. Okay, going back to this Friday night hunt, you don't have to remember all the names and all. Do you have a 3-dog cast, 4-dog cast? What on Friday?
Both casts I had were 4-dog casts.
Okay. Were the casts tight? Did you have some competition in the cast, or did he just pretty much dominate?
The Friday night cast ended up being, I just won it by about 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't need it on the last tree. I was working the stationary on him, and the other dog come in and backed him on the tree, and I laid back and took 25 on it. So I could have had another 100 points, if I wanted it. But bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush.
I see. I got you. Every time.
Saturday night I won the cast by 25, but I did it another time. He got treed, and he barked 2 times, and I didn't strike him. Going into that turn loose, I was 100 points ahead, so I could take second and still win by a quarter. He opened 2 times. I didn't strike him. The other dog opened that was left. The other 2 dogs had withdrawn. And so I took a second strike, and then he got treed, and I was working stationary on him again. And whenever the other guy's dog treed and he treated him, I went on and treed because I was still going to win by about 25, but I'd have won about a whole lot more both nights if I would have, if I would have took that what he did on the last tree. It was real peculiar. He was under 7 trees. He located every tree except in that 2 nights, and we looked at a coon in every tree.
He's a coon dog then, isn't he? For sure.
Yeah, for 21 months he is.
Well,
and he seems to be just getting better and better and better.
Well, go ahead.
He did. I did hunt him in the Lone Star 5000 on Saturday night at Iola, and he was a high scoring dog on Saturday night at Iola at the Lone Star 5000 this year.
That's a big accomplishment right there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Is that hunt still going pretty good for PKC?
Yeah, it's gone down a little from what it used to be, but the guys from up north, and that being the second week in January, and they're all snowed in and everything up there, they still like to come down to Texas. So whenever I hunt in there, you don't draw many Texas guys. Most of them from some other state.
I got you. Do you know Mark Gilmore?
He's a very good friend of mine.
I got you.
He is hunting one heck of a hound.
Yeah, I see that he's showing up.
Nobody has anything bad to say about Clyde. And Clyde was winning until my cast got in. And by the way, I didn't get in with my card. The deadline was 3:00, and I got in at 6 minutes till 3 with my card. And our old Mark was probably sitting there on pins and needles waiting on me to get in. He was going to win if I didn't get in. I'd already called the master of hounds though and let him know what I had. And I was going to be pushing it.
Yeah.
But, I really like Mark. Mark's a really nice guy.
I have not met him personally, but that's what I hear about him, and that's great. It's great to see these good hunters.
When Mark unsnaps a dog, you can bet you that he's not hunting a piece of junk. He's hunting a coon dog.
Yeah. Now, where does Mark live in Texas?
I'm not exactly sure. I think he lives up kind of between Corsicana, up toward Dallas.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure exact town he lives in. I really don't know.
Okay, well, I see him, as they say, he's getting his picture taken quite a lot lately.
Yeah. He in the last, he won the Texas State PKC hunt, and right before that, he won that $100,000 UKC hunt. I think in about just a few months' time, not very long at all, he's put over $200,000 money won on that dog in PKC. That's
amazing, isn't it? Because you look back in the days when I was there, and like Silver Dollar Cracker, was the top money leader for years, and he had just around 100,000 or so, a little less maybe. And then Mill Creek Molly, I had a pup out of her one time, and she was the leader for a long time with a little over 100,000. But these entry fees and purses have gotten so big nowadays that.
It's nothing. It's not anything.
Yeah, I just think about it with these podcasts, and I could fill up a whole 6 months calendar probably just calling winners and talking to them. But and these bigger hunts, and I know just here not long ago we had the PKC World Hunt, and Doyle Murphy won that one, and that I believe paid like 40 or 40,000 maybe. And then last weekend the Tournament of Champions for UKC up there was a $50,000 win, and with for John Strickland.
John Strickland won that with Ant, didn't he?
Yeah, he did for sure. Yeah, and so it's a busy world, but I kind of like to look around and see the guys like you that have a lot of years of experience and longevity in our sport, and you certainly have been involved in it. You said, I think you started, you're about 7 years old or so?
I was 6 years old.
Well, that's 72 years. that's quite a long time. Ray?
Here, it was been a good many years ago. Me, myself, Guy Manning, and Harry Lister grew out together in a senior cast with a guy that had just started hunting. And we got to figuring up how many years, and it was way over 100 years of competition hunting experience we had.
No doubt.
And that guy won the cast, and he hadn't even been hunting a year.
Well, there's hope for you young fellows out there that aspire, to go to the hunts, and you think, well, you can't compete. Well, yeah, you can, because we never know when we unsnap these 4 dogs into the dark what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And I the way these entry fees are on these big hunts, and I realize my dogs that I've got need to go in the big hunts, but I don't have the money to pay a handler, and I don't really have anybody that can really handle for me.
Yes.
And
I know that.
And let me tell you, when you get into these $5,000, $6,000 entries, everybody's hunting a good dog. There ain't nobody going to throw down $6,000 to enter a hunt that's hunting a piece of junk. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so a lot of it boils down to, and they're all going to be split the whole night. And it depends on whose coons you look at and whose coons you don't find.
Exactly.
It's too much luck involved in it for me to put that kind of money in it. I'm not a gambler.
Well, that's the thing that I realized, that my physical, there's nothing wrong with me physically except I'm old,
Well, that's both of us, Steve. We're both old.
But you have been a hard hunter and stayed real active. A lot of years I was doing my coon hunting. Of course, I was hunting just about every night at home when I lived in Michigan those 22 years. But I had, farms, and hunting was easy. I did some walking, but it was easy. But I haven't kept myself in the shape that you have. You're obviously in good shape. I'm looking here at your picture, and you're looking all trim and just look like the same guy that I knew back in the 80s.
I got overweight for a while, but I'm back now to where I've needed to be. I was at the doctor for a wellness check yesterday, and I weighed 158, and I usually weigh between 160 and 165 when I'm in good shape. So yeah,
you getting hard now. Okay, and that brings up a question really bit. Do you slow down any during the summer? Because I know it gets awfully hot in Texas.
Steve, I've always been a summer hunter, and I hunt just as hard, if not harder, in the summer than I do in the winter. But let me tell you, the 3 and 4 hour hunts I used to make are now 1 or hour and a half, or possibly 2 hours. I don't hunt the hours that I used to hunt.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I used to kind of have like an unofficial curfew of 2:00. I'd head for the barn by 2:00 in the morning. That was kind of
it'd be very, 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 very seldom that I'd be out if I'm not in a competition hunt out that long. But I usually make 2 or 3 drops and come in. I'm lucky. This friend that I told you that I hunted with when I was in high school, and now we hunt together all the time.
Right.
He's got about 250 acres out there. There's a good stream goes through there, and he's got 5 or 6 coon feeders out there. We never kill coon in there.
Yeah.
And we can go out there like a week ago this past Monday night. We hunted an hour and a half, made 5 drops, and we don't hunt. We hunt our dogs independent. We don't.
That's ideal right there.
And my Gyp, I turned her loose, and she treed 3 singles, and he turned his loose, and he treed 2 singles. Well, one single, he had 4 coons in 1 tree. But I mean, we go out there, and it's easy hunting. But,
well, I don't mean to imply that I hunt like that now, Ray, because I don't. 2:00 in the morning, I may be 2:00 by the time I get home. Down here, we have to drive so far. I have to drive an hour and a half to go hunt. Yeah.
And most of my hunting is within 15 miles of my house.
Oh, yeah. That's ideal.
I've got 2 or 3 places that I can, just get on my buggy here at the house and just drive and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go hunting.
All right. So this Sandhills Jack of Diamonds, do you call him Jack or?
Yeah, I call him Jack.
I got you. And he is the 2025 UKC Texas State Champion. Have you bred him yet, Ray?
Oh, no, and I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, not at his age. I've had
Correct.
bad luck.
Yeah. Well,
so far he's kind of unique. He's never had his mind. When you cut him loose, he leaves like you shot him out of a cannon, and that's how he hunts till he gets struck. You never see the dog in a walk or trot. He's dead run everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Well,
he's a young man's dog for dang sure.
Well, that's what it takes. But I tell you what, I admire you to follow a hound like that and to be able to do that, Ray, at our age,
Yeah. Sometimes he's not a pleasure to hunt when you're in there and he gets off where I can't drive the buggy and he's sitting trees. Well, here about 2 weeks ago, I turned him loose, and that place has got those feeders and coons weren't moving. And when he finally stopped under a tree and had a coon, he was 1.64.
Ooh.
I mean, he in the hunt this weekend, he made one tree that was about 350 yards, and I don't think he made near another tree in the hunt that he wasn't at least a half a mile.
Oh, boy, he's hunting dog. He's got those wide open spaces down there to hunt, too. Now,
we were in real good timber. Back minutes, I know most people that will be listening to this podcast don't know what yopons are, but I know you know what yopons are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we were in heavy yopons and briars that whole hunt. But and it took a while to get to the dogs. But
well,
yeah, he's a hard hunting dog.
Well, I wanted to ask you about his treeing. What kind of tree dog is he?
He's a real hard tree dog. He's got a screaming mouth that you can hear a long way. He's got a different scream when he locates, and he may scream for 10 seconds or so when he locates a tree, and then break into a real hard, solid chop.
So he's a dog that you can hear a lot.
Anything else does. When he gets treed and breaks it over, he's going to be there. That's what I didn't wait for him that night. I lost on Friday night when I lost that 125. I got him on the locate, and I should have waited till he broke into the chop.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. That's good advice for these younger hunters or new hunters, I'll say, that, you don't always have to be first. No. And especially nowadays when the dogs are a little more scattered out, just know your dog and be sure,
That is correct. That's 100%. That's as good advice as you can give.
But even those of like yourself, Ray, who's been in, I don't know, thousands of night hunts, I'm sure, over the years, sometimes that temptation to snatch that first tree it's hard.
Well, he got in there and got a first on a coon right up front. He was in pretty deep, over a half mile. But we get in there and find that coon. I've got 225. The closest dog to me's got 75. The other two dogs are way back in the direction we came from.
Yeah.
We start back. Of course, the UKC, you're not leash locked. We cut. He goes in there and opens and trails for about, maybe 2 or 3 minutes and starts locate. Well, hell, old Ray got greedy. and hung him, and I shouldn't have done it. It ended up not hurting me, but it sure enough could have.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I tell you, it's a team sport. We hear that, from a lot of sources. It takes a good hound, but it also takes a good dog man on the other end of the leash, and certainly one of the finest in the country that I know of, Ray. I want to congratulate you for your win.
Thank you very much.
And it just does my heart good to see you still out there enjoying the sport and competing with these guys and having a good dog, because you've had so many down through the years. And Just guys that are listening, you could, if you ever get a chance to meet Ray, you'll understand why I brought him on the podcast. One of the finest gentlemen in our sport. And I don't mean to blow your head up, Ray, but it's always been
I'm going to have to let my hat
out. But always been a real pleasure to be able to talk with you. What's your plans for the future? Are you going to keep this up as long as you can, or what's the deal?
Well, coon hunting's kind of my main part of my life. I'm gonna hunt as long as I can. I can hunt in competition, and I love the competition. You know that.
Oh yeah.
But I'll still have a dog and be out there and be able to go through a coon. I'll guarantee you. As long as I'm able to follow.
That's right. Okay.
I hunt with a gentleman from down at San Antonio that was 93. I don't hunt out with him, but I hunt with him. Every once in a while, not real often, but he's 93, and he still hunts some by himself.
My goodness.
Boy, I'd give anything if I'm still able to hunt at 93.
Well, if I lived in a different part of the country now, I would be doing that myself. Of course, 78's a long ways from 93. But,
yeah.
But I look.
It is, but as fast as time goes by, when we get our age, it don't take very long to get there, does it?
No, it doesn't. My dad always told me, he said, when you pass 50, Steve, you're going to see how fast those years are going to fly. And boy, he was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, you're right about that.
For sure. Well, listen, just another little bit interesting note. I see here that you want a light here on one of these pictures. What kind of light do you use usually?
It doesn't have anything on it. I kind of think it may be a K-light, but I'm not sure. I looked all over to find the deal, but I'm going by the charger and everything that I think it's a K-light.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you normally use, or what do you wear night after night?
I use a Sunburst copperhead.
Okay, that's a nice light for
sure.
I've
got, down through the years, I've got probably 7 or 8 lights here, but my go-to right now is the Sunburst copperhead.
Yeah, that's. Well, do you?
And my eyesight's not what it used to be, and so I've broke down. You know how tight I am. But I did break down here several years ago and bought a thermal. And let me tell you, them thermals do help a bunch. I bought a good one, not a cheapie.
Well, everybody's sick of me talking about a plot dog that my partner Mark Miller and I own up in North Carolina, but he's been a ton of fun. He's 3 years old now. He's a quadruple grand. He just finished his Grand Night Champion 2, which we were kind of happy about that. And every time we make one of those milestones, Mark says, well, that ought to do it. And then the next thing I know, he said, well, I think I might go for the next one. So I don't know, but he sends me videos of his hunts.
I see them all the time, Steve, on your
Facebook page. Well, we honestly...
I'm really proud for you.
Yeah.
I wish I had somebody like that, that I could partner with.
Yeah. You've got to.
If I did, and a younger guy, we would push this dog hard.
I hear you for sure. Well, it's just right now it's a very busy time for me and my good buddy Randy Smith up in Pennsylvania that has the Lone Pine dogs. He contacted me here a few days ago and said, now come fly up to Pittsburgh. We'll pick you up at the airport and I want you to go to Walker Days with us. We got a house. There's a gang of us. We're going to have a good time. I want you to go. I'm not going to be able to do it just because of a lot of things that I've got going on here, but the friends that I've made in this sport and these younger men have been so good to me, to say, because, I couldn't have a dog of Fever's caliber on my own. And Mark there, he doesn't have the best coon hunting in the world, but he's got some coons and he's got a dog that'll go hunting. And so, we're able, to let that dog, grow to his potential. And that's the biggest dilemma I think that people have right now. You're a young man, you got a family, you've got to work. You can't get out there, every night hunting. It's hard to find places to hunt. And so, the dogs, if a dog gets in the hands of somebody like you, Ray, he's going to, get the chance that he needs. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't anymore.
There's one other thing I want to mention before we get off of here. Our club right here at McDade put on the Texas State Youth Hunt this year.
I saw that on your web page. Yeah.
And we really had some good participation. We have excellent facilities, and I think all the kids had a great time. And so we put in to have it again next year if they'll let us have it.
Well, that's great. So that's the thing. It's right now. It's the bad thing. There's too many things for kids to do right now with baseball, football, stuff going on all year round, and you just don't have the kids getting in the coon hunting sports you used to have. Yeah.
I mean, you just flat don't do it, especially down here in Texas, and I imagine it's like that everywhere. And man, they really don't know what they're missing.
Well, that's it. And you take I remember when my boy was in like Boy Scouts there in our church, we had the meetings on Wednesday night, and I would take them at least once each year in the fall, take them on a coon hunt, and they loved it. We had one little boy got sick when we skinned the coon out. But no, and kids love that sort of thing, But there's so many things, Parents are afraid to let their kids out because of all the craziness that's going on and all. And the kids live indoors, and they live in front of a screen. And
right, they're on their phone playing games or going through Facebook or doing all this, and then baseball, football, track. Well, to give you an example about this youth hunt we had, this friend that I hunt with, his grandkids live there on the place, and they've got a dog out of my stud dog, but a different female that is a really, really nice dog. And I got after them to come into that youth hunt because it wasn't, they don't have not 30 miles. Mm-hmm. And they said, I don't think we'll like it. Well, I finally talked them into going. Yeah. They brought old Slim, and old Slim got beat, but he led the cast up to the very end, and then he got split and couldn't find his coon, found the other coon. And but they had such a time. Now they're wanting to know when there's going to be another youth hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, if they get out and they experience it, they got to love it, really. It's just tailor-made. Our sport is for kids. It involves the dogs and the excitement of seeing the coon up the tree and getting to be out at night, past their bedtime usually, and all of that stuff. It's awesome. I see you had a lot of prizes and things for the kids. You said
yes, we have a gentleman named Brent Murphy that lives down at New Braunfels. Mm-hmm. He put on a golf tournament with all the proceeds going to it, and he's going to do it again next year for the one we have next year. And them things make you a lot of money.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So we had a lot of stuff to give to the kids. Not only that, Bobby Merchant, don't you?
Yes. Uh-huh.
His little grandson, and I judged his cast, he was the high-scoring dog overall. And the high-scoring junior and the high-scoring senior at that youth hunt, they each won a Sandra Kelly's lights, K-Lights, one of their top-of-the-line lights.
Yep.
They each won a belt buckle, a really nice belt buckle. In $200 cash.
Wow.
So, there's not many youth hunts. You can go to a youth hunt and do that.
That's awesome. And that's where each year,
it's been being in Cleveland, but they couldn't hold it this year, so our club got it at McDade, and so we put in for it again next year. And
that's the Central Texas Coon Hunters Association.
Central Texas Coon Hunters in McDade, correct.
Yep.
It's the club that used to be in Belton back when you're in.
Oh, yeah. I came all the way down to Belton from San Angelo.
Yes, it was the club that used to be at Belton, and it's finally moved. And our local hunts, which we got one this Saturday night, are right here by my house out here at the old schoolhouse here in the Knobs community. The community I live in, I get my mail out of McDade, but I live in a community called Knobs.
I see. Well, one of a lifelong friend I met at that hunt at Belton when I was in the Air Force. I came down to hunt there in the hunt and met Jim Massey from Virginia, and he was a young lieutenant getting ready to go to Vietnam. And when he got out and came back and got involved in coon hunting and he was an attorney, and we worked with him on several cases over the years and all, but just so many great memories of times and people and all of that.
Yeah. Steve, when I put that picture on Facebook and the deal on Facebook, you can't believe how many compliments and stuff I had. And if people I hadn't heard from, I know I'm friends with them on Facebook, but I hadn't heard from them in years.
You got 106.
The biggest part of them were coon hunters, and the biggest part of them were coon hunters from way off.
Look, you got 173 comments. You got 161 likes that people put on there. And I saw where you answered every day going one of them, man. So that's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it kept me busy all day.
I bet you it did. Well, listen, you say this Slim is your stud dog?
Hondo.
Hondo. Okay. Well, you're still offering him at stud?
I never have really offered him at stud. He's been bred to several females and
good
pups out of all the females. But and I've got semen saved on him. But I'm really not in the stud dog business. And I was there for several years. I've got a really nice female, and him and Hondo, her and Hondo have do some really good pups.
Mm-hmm.
And I could sell pups like hotcakes if I wanted to, but I'm getting past that age that I just don't.
I got you.
Messing with pups.
I got you.
I like the coon hunt.
I hear you.
I don't like to get too much involved with this other stuff.
So if a guy wanted to tap into that 8th generation line of coon dogs, he probably could agree?
It would be best to do it through frozen semen because I haven't had him checked in a long time. But the last 2 females I bred to him didn't catch.
I got you. Okay, well, folks, if you're interested in contacting Ray, he is on Facebook. It's Ray Dismukes, Dismukes, McDade, Texas. Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've been at it here almost an hour and 20 minutes. So, I guess we're going to wrap this thing up. Are you going to any big hunts coming up, or got any plans to be out and about?
No, the dogs qualified for the Super State, but I didn't have a handler, and I can't take heels anymore. And I'm afraid I go off like that, I may end up my heel. I don't want to drive that far and can't hunt. I didn't have a handler for him, so I didn't enter him.
Well, we have to pick our battles.
I will tell you this. In my opinion, he's capable of winning any hunt you put him in.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at him here, and he's ripped. I mean, he's a solid muscle from his neck down to his hocks. He's in shape. I'll say that for him. And he's, like I say, he's a good-looking hound. Got great feet. Got a nice head on him and all. So I just wish you the very best with him, Ray. And,
well, I thank you a whole lot, and I've enjoyed our visit. I really have.
Well, we need to do it again.
It's been so long since we got to sit down and visit.
Well, that's for sure. And that's one.
I still show people, I've got your book. You've gone to the dog's book, and you signed it and wrote a real nice deal on the back, and I still show that to everybody here that comes along.
Oh, well, buddy, friendship, and I tell people all over the world, some of the very best people that I've met were from Texas, and I always enjoyed going there, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get to come to Texas and to meet you and to and our friendship, hopefully it'll go on for a few more years. We're not.
Yeah, I hope so. And if you ever get down here to Texas, I'm back by myself again now since my wife passed away in 2010. So I've got an extra bedroom here. You're welcome to come stay anytime you want to, and we chew the fat and turn the dog loose.
Ray, nothing would suit me better, my friend. Absolutely not. Well, I wish you the very best, and I'm going to shut this thing down for this week. Folks, you've been listening to my good friend, longtime friend, Ray Dismukes of McDade, Texas, who just won the Texas State Championship with Sandhills Jack of Diamonds, an English hound. Scored 1,075 points over 2 nights to win that. And Ray, you were a great guest for us, and I know our listeners are going to enjoy you so much. Have a great summer there in Texas, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Well, I thank you a lot for all that you've done, Steve.